Trying to have Jeremy's way so we see the board. No, Zach? You shouldn't get a decimal. Anybody come in from Saratoga this morning? Was there an accident on 73? I live like barely away. I live like a mile away from here, and traffic was backed up past where I get out of my neighborhood, and I'd like, there must be an accident somewhere. Feeling it was on 73. Okay, so I want you to think of a number, multiply that number by 9, subtract your original number, and then divide by 4. And see what you come up with.
It's different than what I thought it was. I thought it was one of those ones where no matter what you put, it's the same answer. It doesn't put the same answer.
Okay, so write your answers down and see if you can see a pattern.
The 3 numbers I did in my head, I think I know the pattern. Yeah.
How do the pattern? Well, I think it's like it's some worse things that you
Move on.
Oh, I see it now.
Okay, couple of housekeeping items. One, if you didn't take the test, you will be sent here during March time today. You will take the quiz today. If your grade is not a C or higher, you will be sent here during Marshall time today. I've asked that they send you here today so that I can do Marshall time a little bit differently than it's been done. I'm trying out something new. You guys will get sent to me Tuesdays, on Wednesdays. I always think of like the first day is Mondays. So you guys will get sent to me on Wednesdays to get help for Sec 1. So everyone that's in here to get help will be a secondary math 1 student. So hopefully I can be a little more effective and I can actually get a little more tutoring done, which is kind of the whole point of Marshall time. It's just been next to impossible to have happen in my classroom with 5 different subjects in here all at the same time to get help. So that's what we're trying it out this week, probably next week, at least a couple of weeks, see how it goes. It was really effective with my other class yesterday, so hopefully it'll be effective with you guys today. So make sure that if you get sent here, show up, because I have sent your names out to your teachers, said I want these students on Wednesday for Marshall time, and you'll sign in and I will email them back who showed up. So if you get sent here and you don't show up, you're going to mark as truant. So there's some accountability happening as well. So make sure you come for Marshall time if you're sent here. Your quizzes have been graded, they're in Aspire. So if you get sent here today, part of that might be either you didn't take the quiz yet and you need to do it today, or you didn't do great on the quiz. And the relearning is also up on Canvas, so you can get started on that. That makes sense? Okay. I have a really bad migraine today, so we are going to, I was going to teach 2 lessons, but I went to start prepping the second lesson last night. And that's when the migraine hit, and I was like, I can't stare at a computer screen and a book any longer. So we'll have kind of a short lesson today, but I put twice as many problems on your homework, because while this is a really simple concept, it is an extremely important concept. And it's one that I kind of lost it on my 5th period yesterday, because there's secondary math 2. This is something you should have been learning since 7th grade. And if you don't know how to do it by secondary math 2, your teacher loses their mind like I did yesterday. Because it should be a fairly simple thing, shouldn't be super hard to do. But it's important. Okay, so there's one huge takeaway from today. I need my sound. I'm gonna show you a little video on what that is.
Power on, auxiliary in.
Okay, this is like really the big thing for today. And you know, I'll post this video on Canvas. Watch it as many times as you need to. It's only 16 seconds long.
Hello. I am she is she, except when I pretend I'm her, and when which pretend which is which.
Super long video, huh? Right? But it's like one of the most important things that you need to know in math. Okay. And that is function notation. And that function notation does not change the meaning of the equation. Okay. So function notation is simply a different way to write an equation. And all it does is it expresses that equation in terms of one variable. So everything in the equation is a single variable. Please can I take this one? If it counts as my third one, yeah, gladly. I'd gladly take it. Okay. So it doesn't change. Well, I gotta switch over to see what Jeremy can see here. Okay. Get as much of the board in there as we can for him. Okay. So okay, so according to the video, well, what kind of takeaway do you get from the video? Anybody have any guesses? Marion?
Oh.
Y and f of x are interchangeable. They are the exact same thing. Right, so last time we talked about inputs and outputs, domain and range. Right, our outputs were our y values. It's what we typically see as a y value. Y is f of x. They're the exact same thing. When we use f of x, we're just saying the exact same thing in a slightly different way. Okay. So that's number 1. They're the same thing. Don't overcomplicate it. Don't try and solve for f. F is not a variable. F is simply a way of saying a function in terms of x. Okay, so this is function in terms of x. That's all it's doing. Okay, so f of x equals what? Y. They're the exact same thing. Okay. You're gonna want to overcomplicate it. The number of people who tried to solve for f last year was absolutely mind-boggling. F is not a variable. It cannot be solved for. Okay. We all understand that? F is not a variable. We're not solving for it.
It's the most important variable.
Okay.
You solve first.
So. It's a good old linear equation. We've seen lots of those, right? You guys graphed them on Friday. Okay, this would be considered a linear function. But it is not written in function notation, meaning it is not a function in terms of x right now. Right now, we have two variables, an x and a y. If we want it in terms of a single variable, we're going to write it as a function of x. Which simply means we replace y with f of x. We now have a function in terms of x. Okay, it's the exact same line on a graph. Doesn't change what it looks like, it doesn't change what it does. All it does is now say, I am calling this a function in terms of x. Okay, I'm gonna like hound this so hard and everybody's gonna be like, okay, you keep saying the same thing. Yes, I do. It is just a function in terms of x. It changes nothing else.
It is literally.
Okay, it is the exact same thing. We're just now calling it a function in terms of x. Okay,
The first one is f x equals 5x, and the
Okay,
second one is y.
now, the thing that you're gonna do today, besides learn that f of x equals y, and it's not a big deal, and we're not solving for f of x, is how to evaluate a function. Has anyone ever heard that term before? Anyone know what it means to evaluate something in math? I know. But thoughts? If I asked you to evaluate something, what do you think that maybe means? Like,
So,
Figure it out. yeah? Okay. When I tell you to evaluate something in math, I'm usually gonna give you a value. And I just want you to solve it. Not meaning like do a two-step equation type solve it. But if I were to say evaluate this function at x equals 3. Okay. If I said to evaluate f of x equals 5x plus 1 when x equals 3. What do you think maybe you should do? Any ideas? Luke?
replace x with 3.
Replace x with 3. That's literally the extent of it, guys. Okay. It's not complicated. Y'all are gonna try and make it complicated. It is not complicated. And this is literally what I about lost my crap on my 5th period for yesterday. Because my 4th period had no problem doing this. They've been doing it since 7th grade. They did it. It was fine. And I came in 5th period and I gave them the exact same assignment. And they're like, I don't know what to do. I was like, you gotta be kidding me right now. Okay.
And they were messed up on that.
So literally it's like, okay, what is the function at 3? Okay, between anywhere there's an x, you're going to put a 3. That's it. What does that come out to? We're not solving for x. Remember, f is not a variable. Okay. We're just saying the function at 3 equals, what's 5 times 3?
15.
Plus 1,
16. F of x
So
equals
insane.
16.
So f of 3 equals 16. That's it. Don't do anything else. Do not divide by 3.
5 by 3.
Do not divide by 3. This is the answer. You're done. You go no further, okay?
You've already said that you had it, you know that, right?
No, okay?
You think you're going to do that, right?
This is all you have to do today.
That looks simple.
It's not complicated.
It
okay.
looks simple, but then people are gonna make it way over.
So let's try a different one. We'll do a few of these here.
Be like, this is so hard. They leave the first one up on the board.
For a second. But I have a word problem we're gonna do, so it can't stay up there forever, so write it down in your notes.
Let it stay up there forever. Do we have word problems on the-
No. But I do give you some problems that are more complicated than a linear function, because all you're doing is putting in the number.
And then-
So.
No,
I did allow it to give you some quadratic equations.
No.
So find f
Okay.
-3
Ooh.
if f of x equals
Equals-
negative 12x minus 7.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Do it, tell me what you get.
Okay, so.
No, write it down on a piece of paper. Pull out your notebook, take some notes.
Oh, you have to replace.
So what do I do?
Replace it where the -3s is, replace it with the x.
Opposite. Take the x, replace it with a -3.
Oh, 27.
For most of these, you shouldn't need a calculator.
It's 29.
I'm not going to guarantee that you won't need it for the quadratics, because I didn't work those. I just, this morning, I was like, I'm making this too easy. And I threw some quadratic ones in there. That's literally all you have to do. But I need to see these steps on your assignment. I've given you room to show me your work. I need you to show me your work. I need to see the steps. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. What is -12 times -3? Positive 36 minus 7 is 29.
So this include a bit of solving.
You do have to do a little bit of math. It's not bad though.
Then that's not a problem.
I mean, this is math class, and we should know our times tables and things by now. I mean, Mrs. C has spent enough years going, if you don't know your times tables, you should be working on them every night. But, you
Yeah.
know, we should know them by now. Okay, okay. So we're gonna have a table. We're gonna put this on a slide, and then I couldn't see straight anymore, so I didn't. We're gonna finish filling out this table. This table shows how many pizzas. This table shows how many pizzas Antonio's Pizza Shop can make in an hour. Complete the table. Then write a function to represent the number of pizzas.
Mom, it says that they're both x.
No, it doesn't. Says this one is X. This one is f of X.
Oh. Okay, you see it.
And then we will determine what a reasonable domain and range are. Okay, so what numbers do you think fill the top?
There's 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3,
That was so hard.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Just don't know if we
Yes,
can handle that.
yes, it was.
Okay, are we noticing any pattern on the bottom?
Yeah.
What's the pattern on the bottom?
It adds 18.
Okay, so we're adding 18. How did you get there? I'm asking this for a specific purpose that we'll come back to later in the year.
Subtracted 31 from 49.
Over.
Did you stop at the office and?
Yeah.
Sorry, okay, cool. Okay. So what's going to be under 5? Now you're gonna have to put a little
95.
addition.
Or 85, wait,
85.
yeah.
And what's gonna be down here at 1?
I feel like a 25.
Okay, so now we need to come up with a function for this. Now, I'll give you a hint. Those numbers, that 18 is super important to this. Pushing on, because my hands are really dry and I'll start opening my markers. Okay, X is not 18. We're trying to come up with a function for this, right?
18 is the
So we have
change.
an f of x
This is the y.
equals, what do we think our slope is?
18.
18. That is why this 18 is so important. It's called the first difference.
18
It's very important. Huh?
And x.
And then we have a b, right? This is a linear function. How are we gonna figure out what b is though?
By solving for b.
How? Genuine question. How are we gonna, how are we gonna do that? Logic this out for a second. How could we figure out what b is?
18 divided by the hour.
Possibly, maybe, eventually. Any other ideas? Any thoughts?
Put something in for X.
Okay. If we put something in for x, what else? Then we'd still have 2 things we don't know. Is there
Then-
something else we can
then-
put in?
Then we put in the thing for the f of x.
There we go. Look, you guys all worked together and figured it out. So if we put in an x and it's matching f of x, then we'll only have one thing we don't know.
So.
So
x
which
is
one do you
what?
want to put in?
Uno. Uno.
So what's our f of x?
13. 13.
And our
equals
x is?
18 times 1. Plus a b.
Okay, now what?
Then we go to times the 1.
Gives us what?
18. Minus 18 from both sides.
Yeah, and then we go with negative,
-5.
yeah.
Okay, so now what? How can we finish our function now?
F
But
of
negative
x
5
equals
is the b.
18x minus 5.
You are correct. Yeah, then,
Why is 13 f of x? Did I put it there?
because we discovered that it goes up by 18 every time. So to go backwards, we just need to just subtract 18. To fill in our chart.
Which shows 1.
And so if we made, in the first hour, we could make 13 pizzas.
Oh.
So 13 pieces, 1 hour, when we put it back in. Okay,
Wait, so we don't have to solve for X?
No.
We have x. It's
Yeah.
1, 2, 3,
yeah,
4,
they
5.
gave us X's, they gave us Y's. Now, here's the next question. What are some reasonable domains and ranges? This is the stuff we talked about last time, right? Domain and range, and how real world problems always have reasonable constraints on them. So what would be some reasonable constraints on the number of hours?
Workers.
But we're just looking for the constraints for the number of hours.
Hours.
Can you work negative hours?
No.
No. Okay,
You can
so
go
we can't go
zero.
negative. How many hours are there in a day?
24.
Are we realistically probably gonna have a pizza place
Also-
open 24 hours a day?
Also, it's
No.
not 24 minutes, it's like 20, 30, and like
59 minutes.
50, yeah.
Okay, but we're probably not gonna have a pizza place. I do not know a single pizza place that is open 24 hours a day. So it'd be a reasonable cutoff for our
I
hours.
mean, Domino's is like most of it, but not all
So it would be a reasonable cutoff, do we think?
of it. Like,
Say how many hours?
midnight,
From
12.
9 to midnight.
like 12, or, yeah,
12 hours?
yeah, about that.
12 hours would be reasonable. I might even go as high as 15, but I don't think I would do much more than that. Right?
Yeah,
Most pizza places open about 10 or 11 in the morning. And close by about midnight. So 14 or 15 hours is a pretty reasonable domain. Okay, what about number of pizzas then? What's the lowest number of pizzas we could make?
none.
None. We could choose to make no pizzas, right? Maybe we didn't get any orders that day, so we didn't make any pizza. What would be then the maximum amount of pizzas we could anticipate making if we do 15 hours, just to give us that little extra boost of time? And how could you figure that out?
For times 18 by 15.
And then,
95.
okay, so do that in your calculator. Tell me what you get.
270.
270. So we think a reasonable domain would be from 0
It's
to
2,000.
15. And we'll include those. And our reasonable range is 0 to about 270 pizzas. A lot of pizza.
Honestly, though, Domino's can make a lot of pizza.
I know, but nothing gets more annoying than ordering from Domino's and the app telling you it's gonna be there in 30 minutes and then 5 hours later, you're like, where's my pizza? And they're like, oh, we're not gonna get to it today. We don't have capacity. Been there, done that. It was not a good time.
How did we, 270 again? Sorry.
They put the 15 hours that we said was a reasonable amount of time for them to be open into this equation, perhaps.
Oh, okay. And
Okay, I'm gonna hand out your assignment. Let's do the first one together because it is a quadratic. And we haven't really done a lot with quadratics, but because all we're doing is evaluating functions, I trust that you can do this. I will tell you, when you are evaluating quadratic functions using the calculator, use parentheses. Especially if you have a negative number, use parentheses. Okay, and like I said, this is not, I did put more problems on this assignment because it's not a complicated concept, but it is a really important. Can't wait to you guys, we just did like 2 weeks of this with quadratics, exponentials, and linear functions in secondary math too. They're taking a quiz on it tomorrow. So flag that page in your notes because you're gonna want to begin next year. Okay, so number 1. Says that f of x equals x squared minus 8x plus 16. And wants you to evaluate it at f of 5. Yeah. Ben, could you pass it back?
oh my goodness, no, I didn't. I am so sorry. I didn't do that. Sorry. Thank you.
Okay, so what do we do?
Replace X with 5.
Replace x with 5. Now, this is when you're gonna need to make sure you're using your parentheses when you put it into the calculator. Sometimes it's wiser to Do these in your head, to be honest with you. Okay, 5 squared is
25.
8 times 5 is
40.
40 plus
I was already doing the math in my head. Okay, 25 plus 16.
yeah, it's just
If I did 25 minus 4, I was gonna get a negative number, but I can add 25 plus 16 in my head really easy. I'd rather do the addition together and then subtraction in my head. You can throw this into the calculator and just pop that out, but. That's how you do the entire thing.
Well, you'll throw what?
You can just throw this into your calculator really easy and it would come out right.
you can also just go.
Sometimes though, Sometimes, okay, but I'm gonna be real with you.
Okay.
Okay, but I'm gonna be honest, with the number of times I'm gonna have to put parentheses and stuff in there, doing this in my head is faster than putting it in a calculator. And if it's not yet, then it would be good practice for you to not use a calculator to the point where it gets to the point that this is faster in your head than in a calculator.
We just,
Because when you get to secondary math 2 and 3, being able to do this in your head quickly will save you a lot of time on your assignments. Like a lot of time. It will allow you to skip steps
like instead of
that you couldn't otherwise
putting
get.
in every single thing in the calculator.
Instead of having to put a million parentheses into the calculator, if you can do it in your head, it'll save you a lot of time. Okay, so, listen, that is the extent of your assignment. That is everything. You can do it. You have 45 minutes to get it done.
What assignment did we do Monday?
Monday, we did module 4, lesson 1. We learned about domain, range, and constraints. The entire video, because I'm recording it because Jeremy's on Zoom, is on Canvas. So you can literally watch the lesson on Canvas. And the assignment is there as well.
So that number was actually.
Good.
Why is it so?
Okay, so Jeremy, I'm going to go put that on Canvas for you. To the back so I can add stuff to Canvas. So a negative times, so if you have a negative, it becomes a positive. So if it's a minus negative, it becomes plus.
So this is multiplication, right? 3.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep.